Hi, I'm Jane Kleeb, and I'm a Climate Breakthrough Awardee from the United States, and I am going to answer some questions today for you. So, where is hometown for you? What are some of your favorite things about it? My hometown is Hastings, Nebraska. We are famous for inventing Kool-Aid, which is a favorite drink. Mostly people have memories from their childhood in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. We have an annual celebration for $2. You can come to Hastings and drink all of the Kool-Aid that you want, so you should come to Hastings. But I love our small town. It's a small rural town in Nebraska. We're in the center of the United States. And I love it because there's all these small, independently owned stores on still a historic Main Street. And we, of course, have corn and cattle surrounding us. But it's a beautiful place to raise our kids and to raise our family. Tell us one memory about what or who first inspired your environmentalism. So I have always been an activist and an advocate, even as a little kid, and I've worked on various issues from housing with Habitat for Humanity, education with AmeriCorps, eating disorders. I never worked on climate or environmental issues until I started to help fight the Keystone XL pipeline. And even for the first 2 years of that, I didn't consider myself an environmentalist. But when I met Bill McKibben, who's a climate advocate and author in the United States, when I heard him describe how the tar sands was impacting not only the United States, but families in Alberta, Canada, it made me realize that I should be proud to be called an environmentalist, and that the work that we were doing to protect the land and water, of course, made me a climate advocate. So I have Bill McKibben to thank for that. What was the biggest lesson from your work helping stop the Keystone XL pipeline? You know, that work took 15 years of not only my life, but lives of farmers, ranchers, tribal advocates, and climate advocates, not only in Nebraska, but across the Midwest and really across the globe. It became a global issue. And what I learned is that it takes unlikely alliances that have all different reasons of why they wanted to stop the Keystone XL pipeline. So for farmers and ranchers in my community, it was to protect their land, to protect their livelihood, to protect the water. For climate advocates, it was obviously to stop the expansion of tar sands, which is such a carbon-intensive type of oil. For Native Americans, this was a pipeline crossing sacred grounds. And for us, you know, as an activist, I knew that we had to do all the organizing layers of any good campaign. We had to do constant actions. We built a barn inside the pipeline route. We, carved messages out of pumpkins. We brought horses and teepees to the National Mall in Washington, D.C. to get the president's attention. We never shied away from being political and engaging local folks who've never got on an airplane to be political, to get involved in their local politics. And we always used our hearts. You know, we didn't lead with climate science and data reports. We led with all the reasons that the unlikely alliance that we brought together was going to stop this pipeline. Nobody gave us an ounce of chance that we would have beat this major fossil fuel corporation, but we did it because we led with our hearts and we never gave up. Are rural Americans climate deniers? So this is a big one. And if you go into rural America, you will definitely, if you first ask that question, folks will say they don't believe in climate change that comes from humans or fossil fuels, that yes, the climate is changing. But actually, when you start to visit with folks and when you don't lead with judging folks of their political background or maybe the words that they use to describe climate change, you actually quickly realize that they deeply believe that it is our responsibility to protect the land and water, and that we have to diversify our energy sources. And so, unfortunately, I think there's a lot of stereotypes about rural America. And the political divisions in our country have gotten worse. And so that puts people more in their corners. But I get to visit with folks all the time at the local level. And we joke often about our political differences. And then we get to the real basics of we're in this to make sure that our kids and our grandkids have a future better than what we've had. what's the biggest opportunity for bringing renewable energy to rural America. You know, there's not many economic opportunities for rural America beyond agriculture. That's the main kind of economic driver, and as well, of course, of small businesses. And so renewable energy is the one thing that we have the land and the resources to bring this new business enterprise into our communities. The problem is that clean energy companies in rural America and climate advocates have been on all different pages and have been talking past each other and haven't really come to each other to say, how do we build America's and the globe's next 100 years of energy together? How do we make sure that we do it better than fossil fuel corporations did it 100 years ago, where they came into our communities, polluted the land, and took advantage of people? So this is something that the resources with Climate Breakthrough that we're working on is we're developing not only a community benefits agreement plan, but also an American energy dividend. So people who live in the community, whose land is being utilized to build America's next 100 years, are actually financially benefiting, as well as being proud that they're not only growing food to feed the world in rural America, we're now going to be able to grow energy to fuel America and the world.